Listen, I just learned an important lesson that I cannot keep to myself. I feel like I need to repeat it on video so that it can be ingrained within me. And it blew my mind. Hi, my name is Kelly and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kelly. Please like and subscribe because it's fun here. And to my returning subscribers, hey lovey, I missed you so much. I was watching this lesson by Blue Teluzma. I'll link it in the description box below. But the topic was about trust. Trusting yourself versus, trusting others. That's not what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm going to talk about an analogy she brought up that blew my mind. This is what she said. When someone who's malnutritioned, who's been malnutritioned for a very long time, when you give them their first meal, you can't give them a solid or heavy meal. You have to start with something light, like soup, something lighter. I don't know what's lighter than soup. Let's just say soup. Give them soup. Because if you give them something solid, they will throw it up. I know that because growing up Christian, I used to fast. And when we broke our fast, the first thing we would take or drink was soup. Because eating solids immediately after fasting for a long time would either make you nauseous or just uncomfortable within the body. And so the spirit body works exactly the same. If you have been living in toxicity for years or decades or maybe all your life, if you've been affection deprived, if you have never been acknowledged, if you've never been invested in, if you've never experienced healthy communication, if you've never experienced softness before because of survival reasons, if you've lived without all these things before, it is easy for you to convince yourself that they don't exist. Right? Because you've survived in lack, you've survived in famine, you've survived around people that didn't keep you safe, you've survived around people that lied to you, so you lie. When you finally meet someone who's secure, healthy, who wants to invest in you, who has compassion, who finally gives you the patience and the softness that you've never experienced before, it could be like having a very full meal after fasting for a very long time. You're more likely to throw it up. You will self-sabotage. You will dishonor this person to a point where they will push you away just so that you can say, see, I knew it. I knew that was not real. That was all lies. Love, security, safety, what is that? That is not real. That is what happens when you live without for a very long time. Because admitting that these things exist asks you to uncover the lack that you've been living in. It asks you to go to the root. It asks you to finally admit that you are not okay living in lack. It asks you to finally admit that you've been surrounding yourself with people that don't keep you safe. It asks you to finally admit that you know what? I lie because I've been growing up around people that lie. I judge because I've been growing up around people that are judgmental. It causes you to be very honest with yourself. And not a lot of us want to be that brave. We don't want to be honest. That's hard because you have to uncover years and years of trauma, years and years of suppressed emotions, years and years of shadow work in order for you to get to the other side. So shout out to abundant people that are secure, that have compassion, that are honest with themselves and others. Shout out to them, because oftentimes they trigger people that live in lack. And if that has happened to you, I want to let you know that it is not your fault. It's not your fault that you're triggering someone that is living in lack when you're abundant. These people are fighting for their lives. This has nothing to do with you. As an abundant person, you're in so much overflow that you don't have a problem giving. You have no issue giving. But it comes to a point. As an abundant person, you need to stay in your power. You cannot be giving your power away. You need to take your power back, especially when you're dealing with someone that is convicted in their lack, that are not willing to face the other side. But then there are those brave ones who have been living in lack for such a long time, and they meet people who are abundant, and they are awakened to the realization that abundance has existed the whole time. While I was living in lack, there was abundance. While I was unsafe, there was safety somewhere else. And I want that. I want that because I'm inherently worthy of that. And then they do the work. They unpack the pain. They face the truth. They finally begin practicing that love, that safety, that stability. They start incorporating it into their day. It becomes a self-love thing that grows into devotion. And like a muscle that is worked on, it grows. It gets stronger. And before you know it, you are no longer in lack, but you're in abundance. Because you were brave enough to uncover, to let go of these old stories that are keeping you in a loop, that are keeping you stuck, that are keeping you in the same space when your soul is yearning for so much more. Shout out to you. Because it's easier to deny. It's easier to stay in survival. But it takes courage to remember your worth. It takes courage to not just remember, but act on it. One more thing. A person's abundance doesn't obligate them to stay in unsafe situations. Just because I'm abundant and you're not, and you're triggered, I don't have to deal with your tantrums. I don't have to be your punching bag. I don't have to be a mat that you can walk all over. I can take my power back and keep myself safe because I'm abundant enough to know what is good and well for me. So keep that in mind. When you cling on to lack and you convince yourself that you don't deserve goodness, just remember that the people who are safe within themselves, abundant in themselves, do not owe you safety. You owe yourself that. Have the courage to remember who you are. Be brave enough to face the pains that you've gone through, the stories that you've told yourself that have kept you small. It's time to revisit them. It's time to look at life from a different perspective and finally accept and live a life that you deserve. It's time to have a full meal, baby. It's time. Especially if you were in lack and you started sipping on that soup, you started doing the work, started crawling your way outside of this old narrative. Especially if you've done that, it's time to eat, baby. It's time to eat. But yeah, that's all I wanted to share today. It just inspired me so much. And then Blue sent, at the end of the live, Blue shared a mantra that stuck with me. It says, I call my power back because I deserve to be safe. When you are abundant, say that to yourself every day. I call my power back because I deserve to be safe. If you were in lack and you're working towards abundance, say that to yourself every day. Because you are inherently worthy of every single thing that you desire. Until next time, my love. I love you so much, and please like, share if you resonated, and leave a comment. I would really love to engage with you. Until next time. Bye.